Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Legally Speaking with Rest the Case. And today we have with us Mr. Vijay, who is a renowned family lawyer from Delhi. And today, with him, we are going to speak about prenuptial agreements and should it be made mandatory in India. So, a while back, a Delhi High Court, while announcing divorce for a couple, said that prenuptial agreements should be made mandatory in India. So, beginning with the conversation, what is a prenup or a prenuptial agreement? So, a prenuptial agreement is a contract which is signed between couples before marriage, which defines the assets which will be divided if the marriage falls apart later. And it involves a lot of aspects like alimony and division of property or other finance matters. So today we will be discussing about prenuptial agreements and what is its status in India. So welcome to the show, Mr. Vijay.
Thank you very much. So I will. What I would like to just start by saying is that prenuptial agreements is a subject which is not talked about a lot in India, but still I feel it's important that we talk about it, understand it, and discuss it because it will be very relevant in the coming days.
Yeah,
Prenuptial,
definitely.
prenuptial
Yeah.
agreements are essentially contracts signed between parties before they get married, and these
Mhm.
contracts include rights, obligations, duties of the parties upon the happening of certain events, such as divorce, death of one of the parties, there's a change in the financial status of one of the parties, there is a change
Okay.
in the marital status of one of the parties, or
Mhm.
there is a change in the living arrangements of the
Okay.
parties.
So, as you
Now,
said that a prenup is signed, which also defines like change in living arrangements or financial status. So, what does that exactly mean for couples?
what that means is there are sometimes situations in a marriage where, for example, one of the partners decides he will not wait for a divorce, but will start living with somebody else.
Okay.
So that would be a change in the living arrangement and also a
Mm-hmm.
change in the marital status in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that now he is living with somebody else as if he was married to him or her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And also, sometimes what happens is during a marriage, a partner may lose his job. So, in such situations, what will be the mutual obligation of the two parties can
Mm-hmm.
also be described in a prenuptial agreement.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Now, coming to the next aspect of prenuptial agreements. Now, as it was stated at the beginning, that prenuptial agreements are not legally enforceable in India. The reason for
Yeah.
that is law of India states that any contract between parties which is against public policy shall not be enforceable. And a contract of marriage, as per the Supreme Court, is against public
Mm-hmm.
policy.
Mm-hmm.
However, the a prenuptial agreement is a valid contract which has evidentiary value and can be very helpful in situations where the parties are undergoing a divorce
Mm-hmm.
or other events happen which disrupt
Mm-hmm.
their marital relations.
Yeah.
And even today, in some jurisdictions of India,
Mm-hmm.
prenuptial agreements are recognized. For example, in Goa,
Yeah,
which has
yeah.
its own civil procedure code,
Mm-hmm.
prenuptial agreements are recognized and accepted. Also,
Yeah.
marriages that take place under the Special Marriages Act
Mm.
recognize prenuptial agreements.
Okay.
And the other thing which I would like to say is that we have been a very conservative society since very beginning, and we believe marriages are made in heaven.
Yes.
So it's very rare that
Mm-hmm.
parties would talk about or even think about divorce at the
Mm.
time of getting married.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
And also the ideology that exists currently in India is that marriages are for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So these kind of situations are not considered at all.
Yeah.
However,
Exactly.
with changing circumstances and changing times, I have
Mm-hmm.
seen as a practicing lawyer in
Mm-hmm.
matrimonial cases,
Mm-hmm.
both parties have to undergo tremendous pain, both physical, mental, emotional, and financial.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally feel that in the coming days we should give more recognition to prenuptial agreements
Yeah.
and also start accepting them. And as people
Mm-hmm.
start accepting them, I think even the judiciary, the legislature, the parliament will also enact laws supporting such agreements.
Yeah, so as you said, in Goa, it is accepted legally. So, can other state governments also enforce this prenuptial agreement in different marriages?
Yes, that's correct. It depends on the intention and the ability of the government in power in a state
Mm-hmm.
to be able to get enough votes to approve such laws.
Mm-hmm.
If that can be done and the bills passed, then they will ultimately become a law.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, as you said, that the divorce rates, as we know in India, it's according to one survey I've seen that it was less than 1% in India because divorce is like a taboo in India, where people don't consider like it as a thing that will happen. They try to save the marriage as long as they can. And prenups are a very Western concept, which is usually seen in the US because US has, according to one statistics report, more than 40% of couples of the age 18 years to 34 years, they have signed prenups, which is a very huge percentage. Whereas in India, it's neither legally binding or nor it is accepted by people. So I think prenups can save a lot of distress which happens when a couple are going through a divorce, as you said, because you might have experienced a lot of cases where there's a lot of um, troubles between the couple and their families when they are going through a divorce.
That's correct. If you do not have a prenup agreement in place, and unfortunately, if you have to undergo a divorce proceeding, I have seen
Mm-hmm.
personally that it can be very tasking and disrupting for somebody's lives because it also
Mm-hmm.
involves a long drawn legal process and litigation, which is very
Mm.
expensive.
Yeah.
If we had prenup agreements accepted by law and society, then this
Mm-hmm.
process would become easier
Mm.
and more smoother and less painful.
So, if I say if a couple in India they have made a prenuptial agreement before their marriage, and after getting a like divorce in India itself, will the Supreme Court or High Court or whichever court they are in jurisdiction with, will they accept the prenuptial agreement?
The prenuptial agreement will be accepted as a valid contract if it has
Okay.
all the ingredients in it.
Mm-hmm. So, like the
So
court will
that would
grant.
be a good starting point for resolving the disputes.
Okay.
However, we have other legislations in place as well, like the Courts Act and the other maintenance laws that we have that will also
Mm-hmm.
come into play. And we should just make sure that nothing in the prenuptial agreements is contrary to what is already there in the maintenance laws.
Okay.
And that would
So,
a prenuptial agreement would be an additional document which would support the
okay.
smooth, what
Okay,
is the
like
execution of a
the process of the divorce.
divorce
So,
or whatever.
yeah, so as we know that some legal procedures they go on for a long time and require a lot of expenses. So, if couples go for prenuptial agreements, do you think that it will be less expensive than the divorce the process?
That's true. because a prenuptial agreement will help resolve the issues and complete the divorce process much faster
Mm-hmm.
and much more easily, as
Yeah, yeah.
against contested litigation where you would have to incur endless expenses and
Mm.
there is no fixed time as well for the litigation to come to
Mm-hmm.
an end.
Yeah.
Definitely,
So
there would be an
yeah.
advantage.
So in 2015, Menka Gandhi, she was the Minister of Women and Child Development. She wanted prenups to be recognized in Indian courts, and she had even met the law minister to consult. So there have been many cases. I think in Mumbai, once in Mumbai court also, the family court had said that prenuptial agreement is not a legal binding thing, but still
That's
it
right.
should be considered.
It is not a legally enforceable,
Hmm.
which means that you cannot, on the basis of the prenuptial agreement, divide the
Hmm.
properties, the assets, and the finances.
Hmm.
But that would be that's a valid contract.
Hmm.
And if you have to go to court, that will be a good document which will assist and guide the court also as to what the intention of the parties
Hmm.
was when they got
Hmm.
married.
Yeah, definitely. So you said that if a couple marriage happens under the Special Marriages Act, the prenuptial agreement is considered legally binding. So can you elaborate on that about the act and
Yes,
what it
Special
happens?
Marriage Act is an act which is based on marriages based on documents.
Okay.
And one of the documents can be a prenuptial agreement. So very often when marriages performed under the Special Marriage Act break down,
Mm-hmm.
they refer to the documents on based on
Mm.
which the marriage was consummated.
Okay.
And I feel that a prenuptial agreement can be, if it is taken as one of the documents on the basis of which the marriage
Mm-hmm.
was consummated,
Mm-hmm.
then it would also be used as, it can also be used as a document to support the separation of the parties.
So what are the documents are there in the like Special Marriages Act other than this?
No, essentially, it's a very simple. You just need to have your ID documents, your documents in support of your consent
Mm. Okay.
and your education,
So
etc.
I
It's very
think
simple. Like there's
it's
nothing
like that
special.
contract marriage, the couples were
That's
forced
right.
to contract marriage. Right.
That's right.
Yeah. So if in future India like makes it mandatory, how will it transform the family laws in India in regards to marriages?
Yeah, it would, as I said earlier in the start of this talk, that prenuptial agreements, we should always try and ensure when we are getting them drafted that they
Mm-hmm.
are not in contradiction to any of the existing family laws.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
if that can be ensured, then I think prenuptial agreements will be gradually accepted and they will not be in conflict with the existing laws. And the laws would
Mm-hmm.
not need to be changed
Mm-hmm. Right.
because the
And I
laws are
think
very
it will
comprehensive.
also remove this taboo of divorce cases. Like India is very keen on marriages. It's a very, very big thing in India.
Yes, that's true. The concept in India is the marriages are for a lifetime and people continue to
Mm,
endure the suffering
mm,
for as long as it takes,
mm,
just in the name of not getting a social taboo. But
mm,
I feel that times are changing and people are beginning to have a different mindset now, especially the younger
mm.
generation.
Yes.
So prenuptial agreements sooner or later would become very popular and accepted, I think.
Hmm. It'll take a lot of effort from the society's side to accept this as a legal document, and maybe eventually, when there's a social acceptance, the legal framework for marriages will also change because, say, if there are two people who want to get married and they come and show their families that this is a prenup agreement that we want to sign. So why there might be a lot of conflict that like are they not sure about their marriage? So I think the mindset should change from that to that. if there is in case of any falling of marriage, or as you said, even after the death of one of the spouses or other living arrangement, also these prenups are considered.
That's correct. It is a long drawn process, which will take a lot of time and effort on part of society, the
Yeah.
lawmakers, and pretty much everybody involved, all the stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
But times are changing. They have changed from where they were 20 years ago, and I'm sure they will continue to change for as long as
Mm-hmm.
we are alive. So this is a
So
change
how,
which will happen,
yeah.
I think.
So how do you think it will be for divorce lawyers who basically deal with this?
They will not go out of work, if I could say that. In fact, they would have more work in drafting the prenuptial agreements and also ensuring they are smoothly executed if required.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
So they would
definitely.
continue to play a role. They
Mm-hmm.
would not become irrelevant.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, this was a great discussion with you, and we got to know a lot about prenups and how divorce can be less messy with prenuptial agreements. So, I hope you had a great time with us too in this podcast.
Definitely, it was very enjoyable, very good learning experience for me also. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in this podcast. And we hope that we have a lot of information out there for what are prenuptial agreements and what's the status in India. So we hope, Mr. Vijay, that we will join you soon for another podcast very, very soon. So until then, thank you so much. And yeah,
Thank you very
have a
much.
great
Look
day.
forward to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Hello, everyone. Welcome back